Hare Krishna. So we are going to read from Srimad Bhagavatam, the first canto, third chapter, verse number 39. Again, it's 1.3.19. We'll start with the prayers first. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Shrinvatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shavana Kirtanaha Hridyantosti Abhadrani Vidunoti Surat Satam Nashtiprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagvat Sevaya Bhagvate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवंश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगना रघुनाथान्वितां तां सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपदान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी श्री राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृष्ण भानु सुते देवे प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वांछा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So we are going to discuss again from first canto, third chapter, 19th verse. This is Srimad Bhagavatam. The title of the chapter is Krishna is the source of all incarnation. One second, I'll give you the exact title. This is okay. Krishna is the source of all incarnations. Chapter 3, first canto, verse number 19. You found it, Madhuri? Okay. So let's recite this verse. You can repeat after me. Panchadasham vamanakam Kritva gadadvaram bale Padatrayam yachamanaha Pratyaditsu pishtapam Panchadasham vamanakam Kritva gadadvaram bale Padatrayam yachamanaha Pratyaditsu pishtapam Panchadasham vamanakam Kritva gadadvaram bale Padatrayam yachamanaha Pratyaditsu pishtapam. Anyone else would like to recite? Panchadasham Vamanakam Kritva Gadadvaram Bale Padatrayam Yachmanaha Pratyaditsustripistapam Panchadasham Vamanakam Kritva Gadadvaram Bale Padatrayam Yachmanaha Pratyaditsustripistapam Panchadasham Vamanakam Kritva Gadadvaram Bale Padatrayam Yachmanaha Pratyaditsustripistapam. Synonyms: Panchadasham, the 15th in the line. Vamanakam, the dwarf Brahmin. Kritva, by assumption of. Agat, went. Advaram, arena of sacrifice. Bale, Bali. Padatrayam, 3 steps only. Yachmanaha, begging. Pratyaditsu, willing at heart to return. Tripistapam, the kingdom of the 3 planetary systems. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. In the 15th incarnation, the Lord assumed the form of a dwarf Brahmin, Vaman, and visited the arena of sacrifice arranged by Maharaj Bali. Although at heart he was willing to regain the kingdom of the 3 planetary systems, he simply asked for a donation of 3 steps of land. Purport: the Almighty God can bestow upon anyone the kingdom of the universe from a very small beginning, and similarly, he can take away the kingdom of the universe on the plea of begging a small piece of land. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. I read the translation one more time. In the 15th incarnation, the Lord assumed the form of a dwarf Brahmin, Vaman, and visited the arena of sacrifice arranged by Maharaj Bali. Although at heart he was willing to regain the kingdom of the 3 planetary systems, he simply asked for a donation of 3 steps of land. So here we see this is the 3rd chapter of the 1st canto, and here there is a description of the different incarnations of the Lord. There's a similar description that comes again in the 2nd canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, but here it is described that Lord Vaman is 15th in the line. So the description starts where the first incarnations are mentioned as the 4 Kumaras, and then from there the description comes to Lord Vaman. And Lord Vaman, it is mentioned, is the 15th incarnation of the Lord. Now, day before yesterday was a special day. Anyone knows what was day before yesterday? Okay, that was, yes. Actually, yeah, Bhaktivinoda Thakur was yesterday, right? I believe it was yesterday. And Jiva Goswami. And also along with Jiva Goswami, it was the appearance day of Lord Vaman Dev. It was Vaman Dwadashi. I think in India they celebrated yesterday, but in the East Coast it was day before yesterday on Friday. So Lord Vaman is a very special incarnation. Now his description also comes in the Dashavataras. So Dashavataras are very prominent avatars of the Lord. Anyone knows what is the chronological order in which he comes? What is the number in the Dashavatar series?
4.
Sorry? You're very close. That's right. Yeah, it's 5. Yeah. So we have Matsya, then Kurma, then Varaha, then we have Narsimha, and then Vamandev who comes. So now these Dashavataras, the concept of the Dashavataras, it is not mentioned directly in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Although Dashavataras are mentioned, but they are not mentioned emphatically. The Dashavataras, actually, the concept of Dashavataras comes in the very prominently, it comes in the Garuda Purana, where it is mentioned that these are very significant avatars of the Lord, which come to perform very significant pastimes. And also, in our line we have Srila Jayadev Goswami, who has, in a sense, immortalized the Dashavtaras. He has written the, what has he written? Yes. What is that? That is the Dashavtar Stotra. So the Dashavtar Stotra, actually, it is a preface to Gita Govinda. So, Gita Govinda is a very important work of Jayadev Goswami. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also relished it very much. Gita Govinda. Gita Govinda is basically, it is song glorifying Krishna and Radharani. The setting there is that Krishna had to meet Radharani, and he was late in coming to meet her. And the reason he was late was because he was meeting some other gopi. So when he comes to meet Radharani, Radharani was really upset with him. She is not talking to him, and the context there is Krishna is trying to appease Radharani over there. So now we may say that what is going on here. It sounds like a mundane pastime, where a person has multiple girlfriends, and but to caution us that these are not ordinary pastimes. Jayadev Goswami prefaces the Gita Govinda with the Dashavtar Stotra. So in a sense, he tells us that this person, Krishna, is not an ordinary person. He is the same Vaman, he is the same Vara, he is the same Matsya. And the same person is now sporting in the groves of Vrindavan. So similarly, Bhagavatam also, Krishna, actually, in a sense, he is such a personable Lord that it is very easy for us to confuse that he is just an ordinary human being. And that's what happens to Lord Brahma also. Lord Brahma, the Brahma Vimohan Lila that comes, Lord Brahma actually gets bewildered. If Brahma can get bewildered, what is the hope for us? So what the Srimad Bhagavatam does is, it goes on the different incarnations. Of course, it starts with the pastimes of Krishna, where Krishna appears in the 7th chapter, I believe, as the charioteer of Arjuna, as a Bhaktavatsal. But the focus on Krishna doesn't come on the first canto. So the Srimad Bhagavatam goes, not chronologically, but it basically talks about the various incarnations of the Lord, and then it culminates into the pastimes of Lord Krishna in the 10th canto. So 10th canto, in a sense, is the heart of Srimad Bhagavatam. 10th canto, there are, I believe, total 330 chapters in the Srimad Bhagavatam, out of which 10th canto has 90 chapters, and 11th canto is not exactly they are pastimes in a sense, but in the 11th canto, the prominent thing is the Uddhav Gita, and the 11th canto has 30 chapters. So 120 chapters out of 330 are actually talking about Krishna only. So we can understand actually the heart of Srimad Bhagavatam is the pastimes of Krishna and the teachings of Krishna in Uddhav Gita. So the point of all this is, I just want to mention about although Lord Vaman appears, but later in the same chapter it is mentioned later that Ete chamsa kalaha pumsa Krishnastu Bhagwan Swayam. All these incarnations are mentioned, but Krishna is Bhagwan Swayam, means he is the original person from whom all this incarnation comes. So all these avatars, in one sense, they are the same person, Krishna, who is manifesting in different forms. Yadyad dhya durgaya vibhavayanti tattad vapu praniyase sadanugrahaya. It is mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Brahma ji prays to Lord Vishnu, that my dear Lord, in whatever form the devotee wants to worship you, you appear in that form. Why? For, to sadanugrahaya, to basically, it is your benevolence. You want to relish pastimes with your devotees, and you manifest that form so that your devotee can, have loving association in exchanges with you. So now we also have in our tradition, we know that our acharyas, especially the 6 Goswamis, they have very scientifically in a way analyzed the bhakti path, and especially Rupa Goswami and Jiva Goswami, especially Rupa Goswami, he has categorized all the avatars into different categories. So he has written the book Laghu Bhagavatamrit, where he categorizes different avatars. He puts them into different categories, and then he mentions what are the characteristics, prominent characteristics of each category of the avatars. Anyone knows how many types of avatars we have, as mentioned by Rupa Goswami in the Laghu Bhagavatamrit?
Two avatars.
Yeah.
And the Vishnu Avatar.
right? How many are there total categories? That. So there are 6 types of avatars that are mentioned. So the first and foremost is the Purusha avatars. So Purusha avatars are the 3 Vishnu avatars. So we have the Mahavishnu, which is also known as Karanadakshay Vishnu. Then we have the Garbhodakshay Vishnu, and then we have the Kshirodakshay Vishnu. So these Purusha avatars, they are the sources and sustainers of the universe. The universe comes out of Lord Mahavishnu, and then he only sustains all the universe. He expands himself in Garbhodakshay Vishnu and subsequently in Kshirodakshay Vishnu. Kshirodakshay Vishnu is also the Paramatma in our heart. So Aham Atma Gudakesha Sarva Bhutashayasita Aham Adischa Madhyamsa Bhutanam Anta Evacha. That's what Krishna says. Aham Atma. So he is the Lord in our heart, but he is manifest as Kshirodakshay Vishnu in the hearts of all living entities. So the first and foremost is the Purusha avatars. Then we have the Guna avatars. So there are 3 Guna avatars. We have Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh. They take charge of the 3 gunas, the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. Then we have the Manvantara avatars. So there are various Manvantara avatars. So there are 14 Manvantaras. We'll talk about Manvantaras in a bit, but the Manvantara avatars, they basically descend to take control, to take charge of law and order in every single Manvantara. So just to give a context, in one day of Brahma, there are 14 Manvantaras that are happening. So we are currently in the 7th Manvantar. This is the Vaivasvat Manu's Manvantar. And interestingly, in the 28th Mahayuga of the 7th Manvantar, which is the current Manvantar, Lord Krishna appears in the Dwapar Yuga. So only once in a day of Brahma, Krishna himself appears, and only once in a day of Brahma, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself appears as Krishna. In other Manvantaras, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu doesn't appear. There is a different avatar. I think it is Gaura Hari that is mentioned. If I'm not wrong, I'll have to also double check on that. So after the Manvantara avatars, we have the Leela avatars. So Leela avatars are those avatars of Lord that come to perform pastimes. So Lord Krishna, in a sense, is a Leela avatar. Lord Ram is also a Leela avatar. Then after the Leela avatars, we have the Yuga avatars. The Yuga avatars are those incarnations of the Lord that come to preach the Yuga Dharma for that particular age. So we know that. Who is the Yuga avatar for Kali Yuga? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Yuga avatar. He taught us the Yuga Dharma for this age, which is the Sankirtan. And it is mentioned that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is simultaneously a Yuga avatar and a Leela avatar. And then finally we have the Shakti Avesh avatars. So Shakti Avesh avatars are those avatars, when the Lord descends to perform a particular task, and now the Shakti Avesh avatars, they are further classified into 2. We have the Avesh and the Sakshat. So Sakshat is when the Lord himself appears and he performs, a particular task. And Avesh is when the Lord empowers another living entity to perform a particular activity. So Lord Buddha, actually it is mentioned, is a Shakti Avesh avatar. And similarly we have the Parshuram. Lord Parshuram and Buddha both come in the Dashavataras also. Both of them are actually Shakti Avesh. They are Avesh within the Shakti Avesh category. They are not Sakshat. So this is about the 6 different categories of the avatars. So again, we have the Purusha avatars, we have the Guna avatars, then we have the Manvantara avatars, then we have the Leela avatars, then we have the 5th one is Yuga avatars, and the 6th is Shakti Avesh. So anyone can guess in which category Lord Vamandeva comes out of this 6? That's right. He comes to perform Leela. So Vamandev has a very sweet Leela. He comes to cheat Bali Maharaj. It's a very it's a very distinct avatar in one sense. Sometimes we say that, why do bad things happen to good people? You know, People ask this. This is a very common question. I'm such a good person. Why are these bad things happening to me? And what is the answer for this? Actually, ultimately, there is no answer. No, one explanation is karma. That okay, it's our own past karma that is haunting us now. But still, we don't know. If something bad is happening today, we don't know exactly what we did to deserve this that is happening in our life. So we often get this kind of question: such a bad thing has happened to me, and I have not done anything to deserve it. Is there a God at all? So people ask that. Now, Bhagavatam, interestingly, it answers this question in a way, but it doesn't answer this question exactly. It gives a very different kind of answer. It doesn't answer why bad things happen to good people, but it answers what do good people do when bad things happen to them. So in a sense, we see that throughout the Srimad Bhagavatam, there are bad things happening to good people. It starts from the pastimes of, we have the Parikshit Maharaj, for a very little fault, very little fault, he was forced to die in 7 days. It's a capital punishment. It's such a severe punishment. He has not done anything grievously wrong, but still he is cursed to die in 7 days. So now we may say that it's such a it is, in a way, it is so wrong. Similarly, we see the pastime of Dhruva. Dhruva has not done nothing wrong. All he wanted to do is he wanted to sit on the lap of his father. Yet he was so grievously insulted by his own stepmother. So what did Dhruva do to deserve that? Nothing, actually. And we see that Prahlad Maharaj, it's even worse. Prahlad Maharaj, his own father is trying to kill him. Father is meant to protect the children. And the father wants to kill, then who can protect? And what has he done? He has actually not done anything. He's just worshipping Lord Vishnu. What is so wrong about it? He's just trying to act virtuously. But still, his father gets upset, he gets offended, and he's trying to kill him, and for no apparent fault. And then we see this theme culminates in the pastimes of Krishna. Even before Krishna has appeared in the world, there is a full conspiracy to assassinate Krishna. And then Kansa is sending all these demons left and right and center, and he's just trying to kill Krishna even before from his birth. And when he understands that Krishna has slipped out of my hand, when he's still like a infant, still he's sending different demons to kill Krishna. So this theme continues throughout Srimad Bhagavatam, that there are good people, but there are bad things happening to them. But the point is, what are they doing when these bad things are happening to them? Similarly, we have the case of the Durvasa Muni pastime of Amrish Maharaj. So Amrish Maharaj has done nothing wrong, but still Durvasa Muni tries to kill him. So, and there is a similar thing that is happening to Bali Maharaj over here. So Bali, now we may say that, okay, sometimes it may happen that, we may not have done anything wrong to anyone, but that person just randomly becomes against us. He's envious of us. He's trying to hurt us in different ways. And if that happens, we may take shelter of different things. We can, somehow defend ourselves. But when God is against us, and the God is there to do harm to us, and who can protect us? So that is what is happening to Bali Maharaj over here. So Bali Maharaj is not able to understand why would Vishnu try to take away his riches. We'll come to the pastime. I'm sure everybody knows the pastime. When the spiritual master warns him that this is Vishnu who has come to take away your riches, he was saying, why would Vishnu? I have the enmity with Vishnu. And we'll discuss that. But apparently what is happening is God is there to take away your riches. So of course we know that the purpose of the Lord is not it's not bad. Lord is benevolent, and his purpose is also benevolent. So there is also a benevolent purpose. And Vaman Dev also profusely rewards Bali Maharaj after the whole pastime happens. So now I'll briefly mention the pastime, and I'm sure all of us know the pastime here. So the Devatas and the Asuras, they are eternal enemies. And there is a fierce battle that happens between the Devatas, who are headed by Indra, and the Asuras, who are headed by Bali Maharaj. And in a sense, first the Devatas, they defeat the Asuras. And to an extent that very prominent Asuras are killed, including Bali Maharaj himself is killed first. But later, Lord Brahma intervenes. He sends Narad Muni and he sends a message that to the Devatas that, this is enough of killing the Asuras, just stop now. So, and when the instruction comes from Lord Brahma like that, through Narad Muni, the Devatas, they restrain from any further fighting. So what the Asuras, the leftover Asuras, they do is, they take away the bodies of all the Asuras to their Guru Shukracharya. And Shukracharya, so what he does is, he is a very strong Brahmin, he's very powerful. So all the Asuras whose bodies are intact, the bodies are not, in a grievously butchered, he revives all of them. He is so strong, he is so powerful that he was able to revive these Asuras. And he also revives Bali Maharaj in the process. Bali Maharaj is the king of the Asuras. And when Bali Maharaj, he was revived, he understands, this is my Guru, Shukracharya, who has given me another life. And then he worships him. He serves his Guru very, very nicely. And when he serves the Guru, Shukracharya becomes pleased. And at that time, he performs the Vishwajita Yagya. Vishwajita Yagya is a kind of Yagya that is performed to win over the entire world. When I say world, it basically means the entire material world, the 14 planetary systems, the 3 worlds, as we say, higher, upper, and middle. And by the dint of this sacrifice that was performed by Shukracharya, so from the fire arena itself, there are various things that come out. There is a Vijay Rath. Rath is the chariot that comes out. Then there are different weapons that come out. And Prahlad Maharaj also comes over there, and then he gives a garland, an eternal garland to Bali Maharaj. And Shukracharya gives him a conch shell. So he gets various celestial weapons and not ordinary weapons. And by using this, he was able to defeat. Actually, there is not even a fight that happens. When he attacks on the Swarga, so at that time the Devatas, they approach their own spiritual master, Brahaspati, and they apprise him of the situation, that this is what has happened. These Asuras, they have performed this Vishwajita sacrifice and they are very powerful now. And they have now attacked us. So what should we do? So at that time, Shukracharya says that, there is no point fighting with them. The time is not with us right now. The time is against us. And the only way you can win over these Asuras is you need the favor of the Lord Vishnu. That's the only way to win over. So he says that don't even fight. You just go from here and disappear. Don't come in front of them. So the Devatas, without giving any fight, they actually leave the Swargaloka. And when they come, when Bali Maharaj comes over there, he sees that there are no Devatas to fight with. So he understands that now I'm victorious. I have, the 3 worlds are mine. But what happens was, Aditi, who is the mother of the Devatas, she is upset. She doesn't like it because her own sons, not only have they been bereft of the kingdom, one thing is that, you take away, there is a very powerful person, very famous person, you take away all his riches. The other thing is, these people, they lose their identity itself. They have to disappear. They don't have to be visible at all. So it is like a grievous insult also. So Aditi is not able to tolerate this. So at that time, Kashyap Muni is the husband of Aditi. We know that Aditi and Diti are the 2 wives of Kashyap Muni, and the Devatas, they are the sons of Aditi, and the Asuras, they are the sons of Diti. So Adityas are also Devatas. So after the austerities of Kashyap Muni is complete, he comes back to his hermitage, and he sees that the environment there is very morose. There is nothing. It's not as usual it is supposed to be. And then when he enters his hermitage, he sees that actually Aditi is lamenting. She is heartbroken. And then he asks, what happened to you? Why are you so morose? So Aditi explains, this is what has happened, and my own sons, they have lost their kingdom, and not just lost their kingdom, they have to, just run away. They can't even come. So I can't even see them right now. So she requests Kashyap that please do something. So Kashyap at that time, he tells Aditi a prayovrat process. It's a vrata, it is an austerity that is performed to please Lord Vishnu. Aditi is actually already a devotee of Lord Vishnu. So Kashyap Muni tells him that only by appeasing Lord Vishnu will you be able to achieve this purpose. So Aditi actually accepts this, and I think it is a 15-day process, if I'm not wrong. And she performs that Prayavrata, and then by that, Lord Vishnu is appeased, and he appears in front of Diti in his 4 hands form with all his weapons and his Kaustubh jewel and everything is there. And then at that time, Diti offers prayers, and then she asks for the benediction that please appear as my son, and please bring the kingdom of my sons back. And Vishnu actually accepts, yes, I'll appear as your son. And after that, it is explained that Kashyap Muni in his Bhagavatam explains that Kashyap Muni in his trance, he understands that Vishnu has come within him, within Kashyap Muni, and then he plants a seed in the womb of Aditi, and then from that seed, immediately after that, it is mentioned that Lord Vishnu is born from the womb of Aditi, and he comes in the form of Vishnu with 4 arms and everything. And then all the different demigods come, Lord Brahma come, they worship Lord Vishnu. And then at that time, immediately after that, it's not that he comes as a child and then he grows up. And Bhagavatam explains that immediately after that, he takes the form of a dwarf Brahmin. Dwarf is like a very short Brahmin. And then he just goes to the arena. So at that time, Bali Maharaj, after winning over, so Yagya Dan Tapa is mentioned. So he is doing Yagya, and as part of Yagya, he is to give Dana, and Tapa is also to be done. Tapa is basically, there are certain austerities are to be done when Yagya is performed. So when the austerities are complete, when the Yagya is complete, then Dan has to be given. And the Dan has to be given to the Brahmins. So in the assembly of Bali Maharaj, where the arena where the sacrifices were happening, many Brahmins were there at that time. But when Lord Vaman Dev appears over there, it is mentioned that he was so effulgent that all the other Brahmins, they were looking negligent. They were not even looking. They were no match to his effulgence. Brahmanas are supposed to be effulgent because the dint of their austerities, their knowledge, their wisdom. But this Vaman was so effulgent that other Brahmanas, when they saw Lord Vaman, they said, "This is a special person." They all got up from their seat, although he is looking like a child, like a dwarf Brahmin. And Bali Maharaj also, he could understand this is a very special person that has come, and he immediately washes his feet, and then he takes the water on his head. So he worships Vaman Dev in that way, and then he asks, "Please, my dear Lord, tell me what can I do for you?" He doesn't know his Vishnu. He just thinks that he's just a very powerful, special Brahman who had come to take, ask for alms, ask for charity from me. And then Lord Vaman Dev actually at that time, first he glorifies Bali Maharaj. So actually when charity is to be given, it is mentioned in the scriptures that both the giver and the receiver, they both have to respect each other. That is the sweetest exchange of charity. If the giver thinks that, I'm such a great person, I'm giving this, as a pity to this person, then that is not meant to be a good charity. It is in the mode of ignorance or passion to the best. So here Bali Maharaj first glorifies, he glorifies in a sense that he washes his feet and takes the water on his head. And then Vaman Dev glorifies Bali Maharaj. He glorifies Hiranyaksh and Hiranyakashipu. It's so prominent. It's so significant because we understand that the Lord himself come and he kills Hiranyaksh and Hiranyakashipu. So it is so interesting that the Lord has to appear 3 times to take care of the dynasty of Hiranyaksh, Hiranyakashipu. First he comes as Varaha to kill Hiranyaksh. Then he comes as Narsimha to kill Hiranyakashipu. And now again he has come in the form of Vaman to deal with Bali Maharaj in a sense. So of course he is not going to kill Bali Maharaj, but Bali Maharaj is also a devotee at the heart. We'll see later in the pastime, we see that Bali Maharaj manifest his devotion to Lord Vamandev. So he is not there to fight with him, but he is there to cheat him out of his possessions. So he glorifies him, and then when someone glorifies us, we sometimes we are taken aback. It looks like this person is going to ask something from me. The more he glorifies us, the bigger the thing he is going to ask from us. So, but when Vamandev, after glorifying him so much, when Vamandev asks for a charity, it is like an anticlimax. Anticlimax in the sense that, as Prabhupada explains in one of the lectures I was hearing, that once there was a mountain who became pregnant, and the mountain was to give birth, and all the people came to see, mountain is so big, what kind of what is going to come out of the mountain now. So when the time comes to deliver, at that time a small mice comes out of the mountain. So the idea is, when we think that this person is going to ask something great, because Bali Maharaj is at that time all the three worlds are under his control, so there's no one richer than Bali Maharaj. But when Vamandev asks, he says, I just need three steps of land, and not just ordinary steps. He says, according to my steps. So Vamandev is a dwarf Brahmin. How much, 3 steps according to his step. Bali Maharaj, when he hears, he says, what are you asking? You have not come to an ordinary person. I am the king of the 3 worlds. And the idea is that once you take charity from me, then you should not ask for charity from anyone throughout your life. You should ask something bigger. So at that time, we see Vamandev gives instructions on, if a person is not satisfied with what he needs, nothing can satisfy. Actually, that is true. That is also mentioned by Yudhishthir Maharaj. When the pastime happens with, who is that? Yaksha. So Yaksha asks different questions. So first question he asks is, who is happy in the world? So he says that actually one who has no debt. The debt, we say, it's not just material and financial debt. It is also, there's different kinds of debts. There is a Pitra Rin, Matra Rin, and there is Guru Rin. There's so many different kinds of debts. So a person who doesn't have any debt, he is happy. And then he says, who is rich in this world? He says, one who renounces the desire for riches, he is actually rich in this world. So because what happens is, no matter how much we have, we are always hankering. So there is always this, there are 2 categories. One category is the category of things that we already have. And then there is the category of things that we don't yet have. And we think that, okay, only by moving the things from this category to this category, I'll be happy. But there is no end to this. We can keep on moving these things from this category to that category, but we'll never be satisfied. So the point is that we should be satisfied. So he says that actually, if I'm not satisfied with this, then I'll not be satisfied with the 3 words also. So I don't want anything else from you. So Bali Maharaj thinks that, okay, it appears that this Brahman knows what he's doing. So he says, okay, I'm ready to give. And he kinds of make a promise that I will give you what you want. And at that time when he was about to basically do it on the idea is that the water has to be taken in hand, and then it becomes it's like written on stamp paper. So at that time Shukracharya comes over there and he says, stop, don't do this. Shukracharya is not an ordinary person. Shukracharya is, he's the same Brahmin who has brought Bali Maharaj back to life. Bali Maharaj had lost his life in a sense. It is mentioned in Bhagavatam itself. And when Bali Maharaj was he was feeling so indebted to Shukracharya, and because of the mercy of Shukracharya, he performed the Vishwajit's sacrifice for Bali Maharaj, and because of that, he was able to win over the Devatas. So now Bali Maharaj explains that this is not an ordinary Brahman, it is Vishnu himself who has appeared, and he is going to cheat you, he is going to take away all your riches. He tells him actually that once you promise, he is going to expand himself, and then with just 2 steps, he'll cover the entire area in the material world, and you will not have any place to give him the 3rd step. And at that time, you will become a falter. So he says, don't do that. You have not yet promised, don't do it. So now Shukracharya also is glorified by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. Anyone remembers where he is glorified in the Bhagavad Gita? Krishna glorifies Kavinam Ushna Kavi, 10.37. Krishna says, among the great thinkers, I am Ushna. Ushna is actually Shukracharya. So Shukracharya also has given Shukraniti. Shukraniti is like Kutniti. It's like a politics. There are different philosophies. So we have Vidur Niti, we have Chanakya Niti. Like that, there is also a Shukraniti. So Shukraniti is the Niti that was used by Ravan. Ravan was himself a Asura. So he speaks his own Niti at that time. He says that, even if you have promised, still there is no need to fulfill your promise. He says that when there is apad, apad is emergency, at that time you can back off. And then he gives a list of things when you cannot fulfill your promise. He says that if you want to woo a woman and bring her under your control, you can speak lies. When there is apad, when there is emergency, at that time also you can speak lies. So there is a list of things he gives over there. And then he says there is no need for you to actually fulfill your promise. Just don't give him what he asks. Otherwise, you'll lose everything that you have. At that time, Bali Maharaj, he thinks, Bali Maharaj also is very, he's virtuous. He's a grandfather of Prahlad. Prahlad, as we know, is the best of the devotees. And then he thinks that he thinks rightly. He thinks that even to speak lies, when we speak lies, there is a negative reaction for it. We have to bear the consequences of speaking lies. Prabhupada also says in his purport that a person who speaks lies, he will get repercussions for, the karma will come back to him of speaking lies. So like that, in his mind, he thinks that even if it is Vishnu and he's there to cheat me, still it is, if I give charity to Vishnu, then still my glories will be sung, and being glorious, being known in the universe is more important than possessing riches. And then he says, even if it is Vishnu and Vishnu removes his garb of a Brahman and then he fights with me, I'm sure Vishnu is going to fight righteously. He's not going to, there'll be an equal fight. So he makes his own calculations. At that time, his devotion has not yet manifested. He's truthful. And then he goes ahead with his promise. Whatever it is, I want to do it. And actually, it is mentioned in the scriptures that, there are times when the spiritual master can be rejected. And there are actually, there are mentions of this in the Srimad Bhagavatam itself. Anyone remembers what are the pastimes where people reject their own spiritual master, their own guru? 4 Kumaras, yes. So Lord Brahma gives them an instruction that you should have progeny. And 4 Kumaras at that time say that they reject the instruction. They say that we want to grow spiritually. We don't want to marry and we don't want to get into this, this business of marrying and then creating progeny. What else? Where else it is mentioned in the Bhagavatam? So there are other pastimes, like we don't have time much left to discuss, but Bhishmadev also does that. Bhishmadev rejects the instruction of Parshuram. Parshuram says that either you marry Amba or you fight with me. So he says that, I'll fight with you. I don't want to marry Amba. So Bhishmadev's pastime is there. There's one more pastime like that. Anyway, so there are times when the spiritual master instruction can be rejected. And one of the things, so when the spiritual master speaks against the injunctions of the Vedic scriptures. So ultimately, what is the injunction of Vedic scripture? That we have to satisfy Vishnu. That is the ultimate aim of the scriptures. That if we satisfy Lord Vishnu, that is it. That is the most important thing. And he says here Vishnu is standing in front of me, and I have the opportunity to satisfy Vishnu. Yet my spiritual. So he doesn't think like that, but Acharya explained that this is right in a sense to reject spiritual master. So he rejects the instruction of Shukracharya, and then as Shukracharya had himself professed, after he makes a promise, immediately Lord Vamandev he expands himself. And he is as big as the universe. And, when he expands, Bali Maharaj could see all the signs of Vishnu, the Srivatsa, the conch, all the signs of Vishnu is visible in the body of Lord Vamandev. And within just 2 steps, he covered the entire universe. And then there is no place to put his 3rd step. We may say that, how is it possible? Krishna says, Vedaham samtitani vartamanani cha arjuna, bhavishyani cha bhutani mam tu vedana kasyana. Krishna says, actually, No, I know past, present, and future of every single living entity in this world. I know everything here, but no one knows. That's what Krishna. That's what Krishna says in the seventh chapter, Vedaham Samtita. That's the seventh chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. And here, Shukracharya actually knew what Vishnu is going to do. So actually, for the Brahmins who are very qualified, very strong, very pure Brahmins, it is they have certain potencies, and this is also mentioned in the Ramayana. When Lord Ram is on the he is banished and he is living in that Dandikaranya forest. At that time, he's meeting various sages, and the sages, when they see Lord Ram, they could see is not an ordinary human being who has come to meet us. It's Vishnu himself who had come to meet us. They could see through Lord Ram's, so they have that potency. So after that, when this happens, so at that time, Bali Maharaj is stunned. He said, "What's happening here? All my riches are gone now. He has taken everything in just 2 steps. And what do I do for the 3rd step?" And Lord Vamandev says that now you have become a cheater. You are not right. You are not able to give me. Where should I put my 3rd step? So he says, "I'm going to punish you. I'm going to put you in the Sutala planet." Sutala planet is the planet which is made specially by Vishwakarma. So of course, Lord Vaman is kind of teasing. Later, it is revealed what Lord Vaman they wanted to do. Being truthful to his promise itself was is a great thing in a sense. After his own spiritual master had warned him that this is Vishnu who had come to cheat you, still he went ahead with his promise. So that itself is glorious. So at that time, Garuda comes over there. So the other Rakshasas they attack Vamandev, and at that time Lord Vishnu's associates are there, and they neutralize these demons. And then Garuda comes and he arrests Bali Maharaj and he puts him in the Varud Pash, the ropes of Varuna. And then at that time, Bali Maharaj, who was the king of the 3 worlds, suddenly, he is like a beggar in front of Lord Vamandev. He doesn't know what to do. So at that time, Vamandev asks, "Where should I put my 3rd step?" He says, at that time, he understands this is Vishnu himself. And then he says, "I surrender to you, Lord. You put it on my head." And when Vamandev hears it, he puts the step, but just touches his head to bless him, in a sense. And after that, Lord Vamandev is pleased with him. And then Lord Vamandev says that, "I'm going to give you something better than this. I'm going to give you Sutala planet. You can live there, and not just you are going to rule over there. I will personally be your doorkeeper." So what is the point over there? Lord Vishnu had cheated him out of his riches, but he says, now going forward, nobody else will be able to take away your kingdom. I'll personally guard your kingdom. And he also says that, because you stay in the association of these asuras, he points at the asuras, because I will personally be present, you'll be able to see me. Your consciousness will not be contaminated by the association of these asuras. So it's a very special benediction that was given. And later it is also mentioned that in the next Manvantara, he says that you will become Indra. You'll also get the 3 words as you wanted. But in the right way, you'll become Indra and then you will gain the 3 words. So this is a brief pastime of Lord Vamandev. So we don't have much time to go over, although I would have loved to speak a little bit more. But are there any questions or comments or corrections about what I said? Just have 4 minutes left. Yes, Madhe.
Is there any significance other than like Lord has also 3 steps? So is there any significance in that we are asking to the 3 steps?
The Lord is known as Trivikrama, and this is something that I'm not speaking from any acharya, or just based on what I have understood. So Lord is known as Trivikrama. So he wanted to manifest his form as Trivikrama, and that's where he manifests that form. But at least I'm not aware of any other reason, Madhuri. But do you know anything?
No.
Have you heard of it?
I just got this question in one of the YouTube websites.
Okay.
They asked that when there is significance, why you want to ask for 3 steps? Lord can measure in 1 step also.
Right. Exactly.
Why?
3 steps.
If there is any significance significance in that.
Mhm.
That is not.
So one other thing is, it is also mentioned that, a person should be satisfied with 3 feet of land and cows. So this is one of the injunctions, at least for Brahmins also.
Probably says that's how much we need to like.
Exactly, yeah. 3 steps is enough, right?
It's probably mentions.
Right. I think Prabhupada also mentions it. So all you need is 3 steps of land, a cow, and yes, Prabhuji, please. Okay, sure. So Mataji's question was, what is the significance of 3 steps? Why only 3 steps? Lord could have just measured everything in 1 step alone. So why 3 steps? So that was what we are trying to answer. Okay. Prabhuji said that it is mentioned that is the amount of land you need to lie down. 3 steps is what you need to lie down. So that should be enough for a person. If you need more than that, that is, you don't need more than that. That is out of greed. So, all right. So with that, we only have 2 more minutes left. So I just want to briefly mention that all these pastimes we are discussing. Bhagavatam scripture, it is mentioned that Bhagavatam is the literary incarnation of Krishna. It is Krishna himself, and it's not very difficult for us to understand. Krishna comes in different forms. Krishna, when he comes in the form of a fish, we call him Matsya. When he comes in the form of half man, half lion, we call him Narsimha. Similarly, he comes in Varaha-dev's form. So Krishna also comes in the form of a book, and that form is known as Srimad Bhagavatam. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam itself, it is mentioned in the 12th canto, 13th chapter, 13th verse, it says, I just read it. If on the full moon day of the month of Bhadra, one places Srimad Bhagavatam on a golden throne and gives it as a gift, he will attain the supreme transcendental destination. So this is a very prominent benediction of Srimad Bhagavatam. On the day of Bhadra Purnima, if someone makes a gift of Srimad Bhagavatam, then he can attain Vaikuntha, which is very difficult to attain. So these are like bonus points that are given for us to be able to, take advantage of. And Bhadra Purnima happens to be tomorrow. This year, Bhadra Purnima is tomorrow. So if anyone would like to gift a set of Srimad Bhagavatam to someone, so Bhagavatam is a very elaborate scripture. There are 18,000 verses, 12 cantos spread across 18 volumes. We have 18 volumes set here. So each set is just $250. If anyone would like to make a gift, we are trying to distribute Bhagavatam sets to the libraries here, or you can also gift it to your friend, your family members, anyone. So it's a very nice time to take advantage of this Bhadra Purnima, which is tomorrow. So with that, I'll stop here. Thank you. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaura Sundara Bhagavan ki, Nitai Gaura Premanandi, Hari Hari Bo. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Ramine नमः विष्णुपदाय नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी अष्टादशतारिणे सरस्वती देवे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद नमस्ते कृष्ण प्रभु नित्यानंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Prabhupada ki Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Kalpurjapacharya Asata Sata Shri Srimad Divine Grace Srila Abhay Charanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Kalpurjapacharya Asata Sata Shri Srimad Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai Namacharya Shila Haridas Thakur ki Jai Prabhupada Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasudeva Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shyamakunda Radha Kundi Giri Govardhan ki Jai Vrindavan ki Jai, Mayapur Dham ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Dham ki Jai, Ganga Mahi ki Jai, Jamuna Mahi ki Jai, Bhakti Devi ki Jai, Shrimati Tulsi Maharani ki Jai, Lord Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Devi ki Jai, Shri Shri Gauranitai ki Jai, Lord Nrsingadeva ki Jai, Shri Shalagram Shilans ki Jai, Shri Giriraj Maharaj ki Jai, Salvavita Bhaktavinda ki Jai, all Premananda. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Karanga.
Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much everybody for coming for our Sunday feast this afternoon. Our sponsors for today's Sunday program are Ganapati Govind Prabhuji, Radha Preeti Mataji and family, who are sponsoring for the quick recovery of Vinay Singh and Shashwat Singh. Haribo. Anand Waranga Prabhu and family are also sponsoring for Vinay Singh's quick recovery. Haribo. And we also have Romil Shah as one of our sponsors for today. Haribo. So if anyone is interested in sponsoring our upcoming Sunday programs, you can share your names with us. You can contact His Mohan Prabhuji, or you can share your names next to the book table. We have Deeptavad Madhav Prabhu standing. You can share your names with him. Our regular Sunday programs sponsorship are for $125. We usually have a gift for people who are visiting an ISKCON center for the very first time. So, do we have anyone who is visiting here for the first time? Do we have anyone who is visiting any ISKCON center for the first time? Was present here today? Okay, I think we have our regular visitors. Talking about our upcoming festivals and events, we had quite a few events and festivals last week, and the same continues this week too. Today is the disappearance day of Srila Haridas Thakur. He's one of the Namacharyas. He's a Namacharya of our Sampradaya. And tomorrow, Haribo. And tomorrow, as Ganapati Govind Prabhu already mentioned, is Bhadra Purnima. So on this special occasion, if anyone else is willing to sponsor a set of Srimad Bhagavatam, you may contact Ganapati Govind Prabhuji. He might be just outside the door or downstairs, or you can see me after this. We have Bhagavatam sets available with us in multiple languages, and they are available for only $250. And then we have our grand opening of our ISKCON of Connecticut Temple here in Glastonbury on the 3rd of October. Hari Hari Bol! The worships are going to move over here to the new temple. If anyone would like to sponsor, the sponsorship for that is only $301. And now with that, we are going to have more chanting for our sponsors. Hare Krishna.
Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Hare
Gaur Pramanande, Hari Hari Bol, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Our sponsors and beneficiaries ki Jai. Ganapati Govind Prabhuji, Radha Priti Mataji, family ki Jai. Vinay Singh, Shashwat Singh ki Jai. Anand Gauranga Prabhu and family ki Jai. Romin Shah Prabhuji ki Jai. Dhruv is already here. We have a Srila Mahaprasadam for our sponsor. Do we have anyone from Roman Shah family? Hare Krishna Prabhu, Hare Krishna Prabhu. We have a Srila Mahaprasadam for you as well. Do we have anyone from Anand Gauranga Prabhu's family? I don't think we have today. Alright, with that we come to the closure of our Sunday Feast program for today. Thank you very much for joining everyone. Please come forward, partake darshan, and you can head downstairs to take your 2 boxes of prasadam. Hare Krishna!